All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into the mysterious world of
Oh,
Scorpios.
it's always a fascinating sign.
So we are going to be exploring a YouTube video by the legendary astrologer Linda Goodman, and hopefully by the end of this, you'll be able to spot a Scorpio from a mile away.
That's the goal.
Like you walk into a party and you're like, yep, there's one.
Uh-huh.
And
Exactly.
according to Linda Goodman, it all starts with the eyes.
The eyes are always so important in astrology.
So tell me about the Scorpio gaze. What is it about their eyes?
It's their intensity. Goodman describes it as this penetrating stare that almost feels like they can see right through you.
Oh, wow.
She even says, and I love this quote, pay attention to their eyes. They will always be penetrating and of a hypnotic intensity that makes most people nervous and uncomfortable. You will have to be the one to break the spell and look away first, because when it comes to staring, Scorpio will always win.
Wow. Yeah, that's so true.
That's powerful.
It's almost like they're looking into your soul.
Exactly, and that intensity reflects their deep and probing nature. I mean, they are ruled by Pluto, the planet of transformation and power and hidden depths.
Right.
It makes sense that they're constantly observing, analyzing, trying to understand what lies beneath the surface.
Okay, so we've made eye contact with a potential Scorpio across the room. What else are we looking for?
Well, Goodman describes Scorpios as having a very powerful physique. Like strong features. You're going to see a prominent nose, often a pale complexion, and think about those thick, expressive eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
She says, most Plutonians have a powerful physique. They have remarkably strong, sharp, and well-drawn features, and a prominent, sometimes aquiline nose.
Yeah.
Usually the complexion is very pale and almost translucent, and the thick eyebrows meet over the bridge of the nose.
Okay, so when I think of Scorpio, I picture kind of like a darker, brooding type.
Yeah.
But Goodman also mentions these like icy blonde Scorpios, which is interesting. Like she even names Grace Kelly and Billy Graham as examples.
I know, that always surprises people.
It does.
But, it kind of makes sense because Scorpios are all about self-control.
Yeah.
So this outward coolness is a strategy. It's like they have this inner fire, but they're keeping it carefully banked.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
It's like smoldering intensity.
Yeah, and Goodman actually writes about that. Like she says, the very presence of Scorpio radiates a crackling and electric vitality that betrays him, however calm he tries to appear. Such vital force cannot be completely hidden.
That's so true, yeah.
Like you can't hide that power.
You can feel it.
Yeah, it's like this underlying energy, this magnetism.
And that's that Plutonian energy at work.
Right, exactly.
It's powerful. It's transformative.
Okay, so we've talked about the eyes, the physique, this like intense energy. What about their communication style? How do we recognize a Scorpio just from their words?
Well, I would say that Scorpios are very direct and authoritative in their communication.
Yeah, they don't beat around the bush.
No, they say what they mean. And their tone can range,
Yeah.
It can be velvety smooth, or it can be very blunt and clipped.
Interesting.
But regardless of the tone, they speak with conviction.
Mm-hmm.
And Goodman writes, and I just love how she phrases this, listen to him speak. His tone may have the softness of velvet, be hoarse or sharp. His speech will be slow and measured or choppy and abrupt, but what he says will never remain in the shadows. Scorpio's ego is total. The Scorpio knows what he is and what he is not, and his knowledge will not change for anything anyone may think.
Wow. It's like they know who they are and they know what they think, and that's it.
Exactly. And they don't waste time with ambiguity. They value truth.
Honesty, it sounds like it's really important to them.
Absolutely. They value truth above all else.
So are they intimidating?
Well, they can be a little intimidating because they will call you out on your BS,
Oh, really?
Yeah, they can see right through any facade you try to put up.
So with all this talk of intensity, honesty, these hidden depths, are we saying all Scorpios are dark and brooding?
That's the stereotype, right?
Yeah.
But there's always more to the story with Scorpio, and that's where Goodman's 3 archetypes come in.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard of these?
I have not. Please tell me more.
Okay, so there's the Scorpion.
Okay.
This is kind of the classic Scorpio, driven by intense emotions,
Uh-huh.
prone to holding grudges, capable of stinging back if they feel wrong.
Right.
Then there's the Eagle, which represents the more evolved Scorpio.
Oh, interesting.
They rise above challenges, they use their power wisely, and they soar to great heights.
So there's like a positive and a negative side.
Exactly. And then there's the 3rd archetype, which is the gray lizard.
Oh. Oh.
And this represents the Scorpio who gets trapped by their own negative energy,
Huh.
struggling with self-pity and fear.
Oh, okay.
They haven't quite learned how to harness their power for good.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and Goodman actually compares the eagle and the scorpion.
Oh.
She says, the eagle will swoop down on the enemy so that the latter learns not to attack again. It will win the fight and let the defeated go his way. The deadly nocturnal scorpion will sting first, and after meditating on the destruction, will sting again. It is not satisfied with evening the score. It simply must totally destroy the enemy or at least overcome him.
So it really does sound like there's this potential for both darkness and light.
Exactly. It all comes down to, how they choose to use their plutonium power.
So how does that play out in real life? Like, what are some Scorpio strengths and weaknesses that we might encounter?
Well, on the positive side, Scorpios are fiercely loyal. They're protective, courageous, ambitious, resourceful, and incredibly transformative.
Wow, that's quite a list.
I know, right? They're like the friend who would go to the ends of the earth for you.
Oh, that's sweet.
Right. And Goodman says, Scorpio shows intense loyalty to friends. Greater love has no one than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Among Scorpios, there are those who literally do it for friends, family, or loved ones.
Wow, that's intense. So what about the weaknesses? What are some of their more challenging traits?
Well, those same intense emotions can sometimes lead to jealousy, possessiveness, secrecy, even vindictiveness.
It's like that scorpion archetype we were talking about.
Exactly, the one who stings back.
Right.
Goodman tells this funny story. She says, the typical scorpion who stings will spend sleepless nights plotting his revenge if his neighbor intentionally scratches his fender. The next day, he will scratch both of his. And he may even damage his newly trimmed hedge with his car to top it off. These types of Scorpios rarely settle for forcing the enemy to put his right foot in his left shoe to teach him a lesson. They glue it with cement.
That's very Scorpio.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Well, they do have a bit of a reputation.
They do. They're complex individuals.
Yeah, they are.
But I think that's what makes them so interesting.
Definitely.
Like, they keep you on your toes.
Oh, yeah.
There's always more to uncover with a Scorpio.
There's always more to the story.
Always more to the story.
That's for sure. Understanding a Scorpio is like navigating a minefield.
That's a good way to put it.
Be careful where you step.
But, I think it's more helpful to see them as individuals with this vast capacity for transformation.
Okay.
They have this raw plutonian energy that can be channeled in many different directions.
So it's not just about avoiding their sting.
No, not at all.
There's a positive side to all this intensity.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Their intensity is also what fuels their resilience, their passion, and their drive to succeed.
It's like a double-edged sword, right?
It is.
They can be incredibly powerful and determined,
Right.
but they can also be prone to those darker impulses if they're not careful.
Precisely. Think about it this way.
Okay.
Pluto, their ruling planet, is associated with death and rebirth. So Scorpios are often drawn to exploring the darker aspects of life,
Okay.
but not to wallow in them.
Right.
They're seeking understanding and transformation.
And Goodman actually writes that Scorpios are deeply interested in all phases of life and death,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and that they're constantly seeking to understand the mysteries of existence.
That's true. They really are.
It's like they're wired to delve into those shadows, those things that most people shy away from.
Yeah, they want to know what makes people tick,
Yeah.
what drives them, what lies beneath the surface.
And that brings to mind their reputation as being incredibly passionate partners.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I've always heard that a relationship with a Scorpio is anything but boring.
That's one way to put it. Haha.
What's it like?
Well, Scorpios don't do anything halfway, especially when it comes to love.
Oh, wow.
They're all...
And intense.
Yeah, but because they feel everything so deeply,
Yeah.
they can also be prone to jealousy and possessiveness.
Yeah, I can see that.
They need to feel secure in their relationships, and they can be quite demanding of their partners.
So how do you navigate a relationship with a Scorpio? What's the key?
Well, I think honesty is key.
Okay.
Trust and open communication are essential.
So no playing games.
No games whatsoever.
They'll see right through it.
Oh, absolutely.
Got it.
They need to know that you're being real with them.
Authentic.
Yeah, and that you can be trusted completely.
It sounds like a lot of work, but probably very rewarding.
It can be incredibly rewarding.
Okay.
Because Scorpios are incredibly loyal and passionate partners.
Right.
And they're capable of such profound emotional depth.
Wow.
If you can handle their intensity,
Yeah.
they can offer a level of intimacy and connection that's unlike anything else.
Okay, so we've talked about passion, loyalty, even a bit of darkness.
Uh-huh.
But Scorpios also have this reputation for being very strategic, cunning.
Oh, yeah. They're master strategists.
It's like they always know how to get what they want.
They're always thinking several steps ahead, and they have this uncanny ability to read people and anticipate their moves.
It's like they have a sixth sense when it comes to power dynamics.
They do. They really do.
Mhm.
They understand how to wield power, and they're not afraid to use it to their advantage.
Which can be a good thing.
Right.
Or a bad thing, depending on their intentions.
Exactly.
So with this strategic mind and this need for challenge,
Uh-huh.
what kind of careers do Scorpios thrive in?
They need something that's mentally and emotionally stimulating.
Okay.
Something that allows them to use their strategic thinking, problem-solving skills, and their ability to influence others.
So I could see them as like CEOs, entrepreneurs, even politicians.
Absolutely.
They have that leadership quality.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to take risks.
And they often excel in fields like business, finance, and law.
Okay.
But they also thrive in careers that allow them to help others overcome challenges.
Interesting.
Like doctors, therapists, social workers.
Oh, okay.
They're drawn to roles that involve transformation and healing.
It sounds like they have this deep-seated need to make a difference in the world.
They do. They're not content with just sitting on the sidelines.
They want to get in there.
They want to be in the thick of things, making things happen.
And they usually succeed.
And they often do, because they're incredibly resourceful and persistent.
So it's not just about ambition or power.
No,
There's a deeper purpose driving them.
it's about making a real impact,
Okay.
leaving their mark on the world.
It's almost like they're these superheroes in disguise.
I love that.
You know, fighting for justice and transformation in their own unique ways.
Because they do have this ability to see the world in shades of gray.
Right.
They understand that there's good and bad in everyone,
Right.
and they're not afraid to delve into those shadows to find the truth.
But like any superhero, they also have their weaknesses.
Of course, no one's perfect.
Right.
Their intensity can lead them down a dark path.
Uh-huh.
If they're not careful, their need for control can become obsessive, their passion can turn into jealousy, and their desire for justice can lead them to seek revenge.
So it all comes back to balance.
Balance is key, always.
Right.
The key to understanding a Scorpio is recognizing their complexity.
Their duality.
Yeah, there's this fascinating mix of light and shadow, passion and control, ambition and empathy.
That's what makes them so captivating, right?
Exactly.
You never quite know what you're going to get with a Scorpio,
It's true.
but you can be sure that it will be intense and unforgettable.
Absolutely.
It seems like there's this misconception that Scorpios are all, you know, darkness and intensity.
Yeah, like doom and gloom.
Right, exactly.
But there's so much more to them than that.
We've talked about their loyalty, their passion, their drive to make a difference in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't exactly associate those qualities with, you know, a dark and brooding villain.
Right, exactly. And I think people sometimes misunderstand their intensity because it's not about being like negative or destructive, you know.
Right.
It's about experiencing life on a deeper level, feeling things more intensely, and engaging with the world in a more authentic way.
It's like they're constantly plugged into a higher voltage.
Yeah, I like that.
They're more sensitive, more aware.
Yeah, they just experience everything so much more deeply.
Yeah, and more in tune with the raw energy of life.
And because they're so in touch with their own emotions, they have a deep empathy for others.
Oh, that makes sense.
They can see through people's facades and connect with them on a soul level.
That makes me think about Goodman's idea of the eagle archetype.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they have this ability to rise above the drama.
Yeah, they can see the bigger picture
Right.
and use their power for good.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Scorpio,
Okay.
what's the one takeaway you would want our listener to remember about this enigmatic sign?
I think it's just to remember that Scorpios are incredibly complex individuals.
Yeah, for sure.
They defy easy categorization, you know?
You can't put them in a box.
No, absolutely not. They're this fascinating blend of passion and control, darkness and light, intuition and strategy.
It's like they embody the full spectrum of human experience with all its contradictions and complexities.
Exactly. Yep. And they remind us that, you know, life isn't meant to be lived in black and white, but in all its vibrant shades of gray.
I love that.
And embracing our own complexities, you know?
Yeah.
That's what allows us to truly grow and evolve.
So, to our listener, the next time you encounter a Scorpio, remember to look beyond the surface,
Right.
embrace their intensity, appreciate their complexity, and be prepared for an unforgettable journey.
You might even discover something new about yourself along the way.
Ooh, I like that.
That's the magic of Scorpio.
Yeah.
They have a way of revealing hidden truths, both within themselves and in others.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Scorpio.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.